in honor of Pete Rose, R.I.P. Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, I'm going to bet on my own team.
What are we doing here? If you don't win this week, I don't know what you're going to do, huh? All right, welcome back to H2H, the NFL show in which Tasos and I battle it out each and every week to see who comes out on top with our NFL picks. We are now at week number 5. And Tasos, my man, things are getting carried away here. I am 4-0, 4 weeks into the NFL season. Now, the first 2 weeks, I was doing whatever I wanted. These last 2 have been a little bit closer, but still pulling out a victory last week. Are you getting a little, down on yourself over there? How are you feeling?
You know how you have the glass like break in case of emergency.
Yeah.
We're not breaking it yet, but the hammer's out. Like it's in my hand. Where like if we lose another week or 2, it's gonna be a problem. This week was probably the biggest like kick in the nuts of any week we've ever done the show for me. Like I 2 plays go differently, and I go 4-0. If George Pickens doesn't fumble in the red zone in the first half versus the Colts, and if Brandon Aubrey doesn't miss a kick that he makes literally 100% of the time before that. Yeah. We're looking at a 4-0 sweep for me, but it is what it is. Nothing you can really do. You just got to get back on the horse and ride again this week.
I was so frustrated seeing that literally the last play of the game for the Giants is when Daniel Jones throws an interception. I was like, all right, this is Tasos' week. But yet it wasn't. So I got lucky there because I was like, of course Daniel Jones throws an interception, that was the fade me pick last week. But we do have something that can change things up this week. So we did this kind of halfway through the year last year. I think it's time to roll it out. For new viewers, we have a new sort of thing that one of us can use each of us can use once per episode. It's the double down. So usually all of our picks are 1-unit plays, but you can double down on a pick and it counts as 2 units. So say you really like something. Sometimes Tasos was ragging on my picks last year and I was like, screw it, I'll double down, which will result in me losing 2 units, but you can make a play 2 units. So Tasos, that could definitely throw a little wrench into things. Now, if you have something really confident, it can definitely sway things.
Yeah, we agreed on it. Like we did it last year. Last year was just kind of like a random thing we came up with. Like, hey, let's just add this to the show. This year we decided we'd wait for the first month of the season, and then after week 4 we'd bring it out. So it's good timing. Definitely necessary. Might have to use it a little more often than I did last year. But it's just it adds an extra element to the game. I think it's exciting to that if you really feel confident, you can throw 2 units on something.
Yep, 100%.
Could really bite you in the ass, or it could make your week. It's
It for sure could bite you in the ass. I know that feeling from last season. But all right, guys, if you are new, hit that subscribe button. If you're returning or new, hit that like button as well. We love seeing if you guys are Team Ev or Team Tasos in the comments. I think for the first time this year, we got a bunch of Team Tasos comments last week, so that was nice. You did let him down. I mean, you still went 2-2, whatever. But Team Ev, we did take the dub. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys are going to see a couple wheels popping up on the screens throughout the show. That is to determine what lanes and what categories we are betting in, because we're at mercy of the wheel here. So let's jump into it to see the draft order, or pick order, I should say. It is a snake draft, so whoever this lands on goes first, and then the next person gets 2 in a row, and we take it from there. So Tasos, you ready to spin it?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Well, let's go.
The wheel gods were kind last week. I'll say that.
They were
pretty kind.
I think.
All right,
come on.
It's gonna go you. Yep, that's all right.
Yeah, I don't have a strong take. I don't have any picks this week. I shouldn't tell you this because it's going to make you feel more confident that I'm like, I need to make sure I get out first. I don't think you're going to roll with any of my picks. I got some wonky ones, which isn't always the best thing when I have some plays here. But all right, now you're going to see a second wheel on the screen. This is going to determine what type of bet we are rolling with. We have a player prop. We have 2 of each of player prop, spread, money line, and total. And then we have 1 Thursday Night Football and 1 plus money play. If it lands on that, we remove it for the next spin. I have a couple, and I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not going to tip you off on what I want, because I do have a couple plays. I don't think you're going to take them, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Let's see. We're going to get a total here.
No, that was one that I definitely do not like. All right. This could be Tasos' week, just based on that vibe, because this is not a spot that I wanted to look at. And you might throw up this one, or there's a sneaky part of you that might like it. I'm looking at the so why am I doing this? I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins team total over 16.5. It's
You're
a
a
ridiculous
bold
play.
man. You're a
I
bold
think
man.
that they have. I think that they have a little bit, more that they can offer than we saw. We're recording on Tuesday, so last night in Monday Night Football, they put up 12 against the Titans. This Patriots defense is good, but I think that the Miami Dolphins, given their dynamic players and sort of the how good they can be in terms of personnel, I feel like one more week of Huntley and whatnot, you can put up 17 points. I eyed this one, I liked it, and I was like, I think Tasos is going to hate this, but I really do think that against a team in which they obviously play close and whatnot, just being divisional rivals, I guess we can call them that, I think that they get a little bit better than last week. And that Titans defense is like, I don't know if it's sneaky good anymore, but that's a legitimate defense. Like, it's not like they're going to have to go face a new defense that, this week that's way, way better than the Titans. Like, not at all.
Yeah, I can't believe you're going to put money on Tyler Huntley here. That's a little bit of
It's
a bold
fair.
pick. I mean, I agree with you. I think the Titans defense, I'd take it over New England's right now. And
Yep.
obviously, not that much I can really say. I'm kind of flabbergasted that you took this pick.
I told you it was a while. I didn't like the fact that we got total, and there's still another total in the wheel, which is gonna be tough because the next one's even weirder.
I guess I don't hate it because this Dolphins offense is still loaded offensively. They have all the weapons. You can clearly see, and I actually think Tua this injury kind of gives him a little more respect because everybody was like, oh, you can just put anybody in that offense and they're gonna cook. And so far, that's not where they're 0 for 2 on that take because Skylar Thompson sucked and Tyler Huntley sucked. So like, it's not just anybody. It does take a special kind of quarterback for this offense. Tyreek Hill has basically been a nothing burger all season because he doesn't have Tua by his side. So, I like Tyler Huntley more than Skylar Thompson. Obviously, he had a couple really good games during his career as a backup with the Ravens when he came in for Lamar. The Patriots defense looks solid, but honestly, the pass rush hasn't been impressive. It was for like maybe one or two. The first 2 weeks,
I'd say like the first 6 quarters of the year.
Yeah. And then since then, like they can't get a hit on anybody. So, not to be fair, they play the Niners offensive line, who, they have a couple of pieces. The Jets offensive line, they have a few pieces. So, now you're going up against the Dolphins offensive line. It's a little shaky. How's that going to play out? But I can't really hate you on the pick. What were the odds you got for this one?
This is minus 120 on FanDuel.
Oh, never mind. Hate that.
Oh.
minus 120 for them to score 17 when they literally can't move the football.
They can move the football. They just this is an offense that has been so dry for so long. 3 weeks that they're bound to score 17 points at one point.
Forget it.
They got their first touchdown in 3 weeks.
I was like on board with you because I thought, all right, it's clearly either plus money or close to even odds. Minus 120, them score 17 points. I don't like this game. Could easily be like a 13-10 game.
Well, that's pretty damn close. That's pretty close. That's pretty close.
Yeah,
I
don't know. Listen, truth be told, I don't hate it. For minus 120, I just don't think it's worth the risk.
All right, fair enough. What do we got?
I'm going to go ahead and rock with the over 46.5 here in the Colts-Jaguars game. The last 2 times these two teams faced off last season, the over cashed with flying colors. The last time they played back on October 15th. Now, granted, this is early last season, but Jackson 37-20. The last time they played, and then 31-21 the previous time. So both times they played last year, this total went over 50 points. And also shout out to Outlier, the insights provided by Outlier. The over hit in 6 of the Colts' last 8 games as an underdog. So, I'm not really sure why, but when they're an underdog, points are scored. Jacksonville, obviously, we look at this year, we know their defense is not very good. Right now, their defense is 28th in scoring. They're giving up 27.2 points per game. So really not a good defense there in Jacksonville. But on the flip side, the Colts defense tied for 13th, 21.2 points per game. Not great either. I mean, you saw the second half versus the Steelers. Pittsburgh was moving the ball really as much as they wanted to. And that's a Steelers offense that was missing Jalen Warren. Obviously, Cordell Patterson, who was running the ball fantastically on them, gets hurt. And then you had a dinged up Najee Harris. And to your credit, you did say that last week when talking about the Steelers play, like the running back injuries could play a role. And it certainly did. Like Najee being dinged up, Patterson going out, not having Warren, they struggled to run the football. But when Patterson was in the game, they were running the football with a lot of success. Justin Fields was running with a lot of success on them. Obviously, the Jaguars have Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne to go ahead and run here. So the Colts run defense, not really impressive. 31st, second worst run defense in the NFL right now. And their pass defense, not much better. 27th, giving up 235 yards per game. The Jaguars offense kind of came alive last week. They gave the Texans a good scare there, scored 20 points. Trevor Lawrence finally started hitting some passes. You saw guys like Christian Kirk finally get double-digit
Mhm.
targets and stuff like that. So I think you've got a Jaguars offense. Obviously, the Jaguars at this point 0-4. Their season's over. There's no playoffs in line for Jacksonville. But you're obviously at this point playing for jobs, especially Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. I think there's not so much Trevor Lawrence, more so Doug Peterson and the coaching staff. Right now, you're playing for your job. I think you can still maybe salvage the season. Maybe if you can get somewhere around 7-8 wins, maybe you can convince Shad Khan to keep you. But, obviously at this point, Jacksonville, they're just playing for jobs. They are looking a little bit better. This is a bad Colts defense. I think Jacksonville could go ahead and score some points. And again, vice versa. The Jaguars defense, not very good either, especially if Joe Flacco plays. I think this is a lock, an absolute lock on this over. If the Colts offense overall, top 10 rushing offense, but their passing offense, 21st, not great. But if Joe Flacco plays, that was honestly what killed me last week, like in that bet. Like the minute I saw Anthony Richardson go out, I knew I was cooked. Like you put the guy in who has more career starts versus the Steelers than any active player in the NFL. Like if there's anybody who knows the Steelers better than anybody, it's Joe Flacco. And the minute he came in, I'm like, great, this is over. This is cooked. And the Steelers actually did have a chance to win at the end there. But I just think these are two teams with shaky defenses. I think the Colts defense is slightly better than the Jaguars, but both kind of shaky defenses and both offenses that they have pieces. I mean, obviously the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, they have some weapons. Same thing on the Jaguars side. They got Kirk, Brian Thomas, ETN. So I can see a lot of points being scored in this game. Again, the last two times they played, a lot of points scored.
A lot of points. I would say I can say I don't hate this one. I think I would have gone in another direction, and it might. Let me know what you think of this. I think I might have looked at maybe the Colts over 20.5 or 21.5 team total, because I think that their run, so the Jaguars have a halfway decent run defense, but the Colts run offense, is great. So like hopefully that can combat that. And then the Jags pass defense is terrible. That the weakness of the Colts, they could go out there and put up points. So I wonder if like that would have been, if I looked at this game, I think that was more or less what I'm thinking. I wouldn't be able to take it now because of our sort of like conflicting plays rule. Maybe I could have, I don't know if that would be conflicting, but I think I would have gone in that direction, just focusing on one team here, because we've seen so much worse of the Jags so far than good. You know what I mean? So I don't hate it. I think that both these teams can kind of elevate from what they've done so far this year and put up points. But I think I might have just looked at the Colts on the road, potentially with Flacco, even if it's not. Like Richardson should be able to be pretty good against this pass defense. But I can't say that I hate it. I think that it's a good little spot there.
Yeah, I think a team. I did look at team total. I actually was going to lean more on the Jaguars team total more than the Colts side. But I think a team total is not a bad play. If you guys at home are looking to bet on this over, you don't want to take the overall total. Betting on a team side is not a terrible idea, because I do think both these teams, again, in order for this over to cash, I think both these teams will probably score at least 20 points. So, again, and the last time these two teams played, I mean, really big scoring, but they actually both scored at least 20 points in both of the matchups last season. So that 20.5 point line for the Colts, not a bad. They were 50-50 last year. They cashed it in the first one, didn't cash in the second one, but pretty close.
Fair enough.
Not a bad spot there.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump into the wheel yet again. That total is now removed. I really hope we don't get the other total. But let's go ahead and roll it. I have all the other ones I don't mind. Now they are some pretty ugly plays, but looks like we're gonna get a.
Ooh, you were close.
Spread.
You were close.
That was too close for comfort right there.
You were
all right.
pretty close on that one.
I think I would just say, all right, forfeit the week if I got another total here. In terms of my spread pick here, I'm going I'm alti-eving, so I'm paying a little bit more juice, okay? But it's not like the crazy alti-ev. I'm going the opposite direction, trying to get myself a little bit more of a line here. It's minus 140 on FanDuel, and I'm going to. Is this game in London? Am I not the Minnesota and Jets game?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the Jets plus the 3.5 points. I know you like the Vikings, and I think 99.99999% of people like the Vikings.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
What?
I'm happy that this happened.
No, it's your turn.
This tells me that
we're back to normal.
Back on schedule. And guess what my pick was?
The Jets.
Jets plus 3.5.
No!
I was like,
good.
I was gonna interrupt him. I was gonna tell him like, hey, it's my pick. I'm like, you know what? Let's see where he goes. The minute you said Jets,
and it's
Vikings,
yours.
I was like,
my God!
I know where you're going with this. Let him have his quick little moment before I just rip it from underneath him.
That is tough.
And you know what? I feel like kind of, and I know people already think I'm the villain on the show, and you know what?
That's a villain.
I'll play into it. I'm going Jets plus. I have him. You said plus 3.5. I got him plus 3 at minus 130 here. Do you find better odds at plus 3.5?
Yeah, plus 3.5. I think it was Caesars. Oh no, not better odds. Minus 140 for the 3.5.
Minus
It makes
140.
sense.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll go plus 3. I'm gonna go plus 3. I'm
Okay.
gonna shave half a point. I'll go plus 3 at minus 130. I'm happy that we're kind of aligned here because it makes me think that we both have the same idea. I
Yep.
From a statistical standpoint, I'm not really going off of stats. I'm really going off of the fact that I think the public is going to be all over Minnesota here. I think for everybody, we all had the same thought. Like, yes, the Vikings were 3-0. You know, they beat the Niners and the Texans, 2 really good wins. But I think we all were waiting for this thing to drop. You know, it's Sam Darnold, and I've been a Sam Darnold fan all year. I'm obviously championing him. I actually just bought the jersey. I got the Vikings alternate
Did
Sam
you?
Darnold, so it's coming in. Hopefully, either next episode or the episode after, I'll wear it for the show. But you know, I think everyone's waiting for that last hook to really buy into this team, and they got it. They beat the Packers in Lambeau,
Yep.
had a really strong start. They almost blew it in the end, but so now they're 4-0. I think they've beaten 3 playoff teams from last year. I think everybody's all in on this Vikings team now being good. And you have on the opposite side a Jets team that you really take the New England game out of it. They've really been unimpressive. They got embarrassed by the Niners week 1. They barely survived the Titans week 2, and then they get embarrassed by the Broncos in week 4. And I just feel like that when these things happen, the best thing is to fade the public because everybody and their mother right now is going to this game. And also, you have the Sam Darnold factor, right? It's the Sam Darnold revenge game. Everyone's going to be saying Sam Darnold revenge game. The guy literally is the MVP frontrunner right now in the NFL. Everybody and their mother's going to say, oh, against the Jets, Sam Darnold's going to go off in this game. And I think the actual line's 2.5. So everybody's going to go ahead and take this.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and fade the public here and go. And actually, I can actually look at the public money. It's pretty crazy, the discrepancy right now. I think it's something like 10% of all bets. Yeah, 10% of all bets
Absurd.
are on the Jets. 10% of all tickets. Yet 90% of the money is on the
It's
Jets.
crazy.
That's crazy. It's a huge discrepancy, and it just goes to tell you that the public is all over Minnesota, but the sharps are heavy on the Jets right now. So I would take this line while you can. From a number standpoint, I mean, the Jets defense is really solid, so it could, bring a little bit of a challenge there for Minnesota. Obviously, Minnesota's defense also. These are 2 top 5 defenses going head to head. Now, the Jets offense has been pretty unimpressive, but if there's any guy who knows the Vikings, it's Aaron Rodgers. The guy has a lot of experience versus Minnesota, versus Kevin O'Connell. Not so much experience versus Brian Flores, obviously, since Flores has come to Minnesota. I think Rodgers maybe 1 year. Maybe the last year that he was in Green Bay, Flores was in Minnesota. I'm not sure the timeline there. But he's familiar with the NFC North. I mean, he knows these teams very well. He's played against them long enough in his career. So I just like the spot here for the Jets to fade the public here, take the Jets on the points. And sorry to take your pick there, Ev.
No, that's if people are unaware, last year I could not remember who's going first, who's going last, and it's a way that I just lose my poker face and tell Tasos my pick before it even happens. And that might be the first time in H2H history where my pick was literally your pick, and now I'm just like frazzled. So I mean, for all the reasons you said, mainly the fact that this is just a letdown spot. I called it last week with the Steelers, and maybe letdown Ev is a good little nickname that has more meanings than one right now. On my side of things, I am kind of going towards, I think, a public darling right now, but I can't help but kind of respect what they're doing, and I think that they have momentum. They're at home against a crap team now. I am going alternate Ev here. I'm going to bump this line down to 2.5, but I'm looking at Washington against the Browns. That's minus 145 on MGM right now for minus 2.5. They're super public, but I think I'm starting to just kind of believe in that this offense actually isn't all that bad. They have a really good quarterback, and the Browns on the other side of things, it's like, they play the Giants, they don't look good. They play the Raiders, they don't look that great. It's like the Browns could be in such a little dumpster right now mentality wise, and Washington is as high as can be, and now they're at home. Now I give a little bit of credence to the idea of, well, if you're you buy low, you sell high type of thing, but I don't even know if we're as high as could be on this Washington team right now. This isn't a very tough matchup. I like them minus the 2.5 points. Again, a little bit juiced, but to me, like, that offense is only getting better. The defense is kind of meh, but they're going up against an offense that stinks. So if we can get like 3 touchdowns in this game from Washington, then I don't know how the Browns even keep up with it. So Washington minus the points.
Yeah, I don't hate this. Actually, I know on this show people find it hard to believe I've actually kind of been bouncing back on the Oracle this week. I went 7-3-1 on my picks, so I actually had a pretty solid week. But one of the picks I was absolutely flat out wrong on was I was heavy on the Cardinals.
Me too.
against the Commanders. And look, I'll admit I wasn't high on this Washington team. I thought kind of their wins seemed a little fraudulent, right? They beat the Giants, but the Giants should have won that game had they had a kicker. They beat the Bengals, but the Bengals, obviously, their defense is a mess, right? Even the Panthers scored 24 points on them. Like,
Yep.
even Carolina moved the ball. So I wasn't really sold on them. Arizona was a frisky team to me, and then Washington came out and just spanked them bad. And so I've got to buy into this Washington team. I think they're better than everybody expected. Jaden Daniels is legit. He's probably going to win Rookie of the Year if things hold the way they are. And you're going up against a Cleveland team that I just really can't take points on. I'm sorry. I just can't bet on Cleveland right now. Deshaun Watson, I think they have the worst situation in the NFL. I would rather be Carolina. As bad as their situation is, I would rather be Carolina than Cleveland right now. Because at least with Carolina, you can dump Bryce Young if you really want to. It sucks that you gave up all the picks for him. But with Cleveland, you're stuck with Deshaun Watson for at least 3 more years. You can't cut him before. The dead money would be ridiculous.
Yeah, brutal.
And you can't bench him because if you bench him, he's going to be over there pouting on the sideline and pissy and stuff. So it's like, what do you do? I mean, I personally, if you could, you put Jameis Winston in and see how that works with your offense because they have pieces. But again, you can't bench Deshaun Watson because he's got to stick around for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, they're really in a horrible situation. But this offense is anemic. I watched a little bit of that Raiders game last week. The Raiders coming off that bad loss to Carolina. This Raiders, they didn't have Devontae Adams or Max Crosby. And you still beat them. You still lost them, and you couldn't move it was just an ugly game. So, yeah. Cleveland's defense against Washington does give me a little bit of a cause for concern, although Cleveland's defense this year hasn't really been that great. Tied for 15th right now in scoring. Myles Garrett is a little dinged up. So, yeah, I'm with you here. I like Washington here. -2.5 is a pretty good spot to get them to. 3.5 concerns me a little bit, but 2.5.
Right, and I think the idea of like the one counter, and I give a little credence to it if you're watching this or something. It's like, well, that was their peak last week and whatnot. I actually view that, and it sounds like we're kind of in the same boat. I almost view that as more of a momentum builder versus like the best. I don't think that this is like a flop spot for them. Maybe if they blow out Cleveland, then it's like, okay, now you can start thinking that. You have the win in prime time against Cincinnati, then you beat Arizona, now you beat Cleveland. And then I can see the idea of, well, now they're becoming the Vikings of the league where everyone's on them, right? I think we have one more good week out of Washington, so that's
I think looking at the public betting now, the money line, obviously people are hammering the Commanders. 97% of the money's on Washington, but from a spread perspective, it's actually kind of even. 53% of all tickets are on Washington. 47% of tickets are on the Browns. However, the Commanders do have sharp action. 73% of the money is on Washington. So you do have the sharps are on Washington right now, but in terms of the public, they're actually kind of split, slightly leaning towards Washington, but this isn't as bad. This isn't Jets-Vikings bad, where it's like 90% of the public is on the Jets. The Vikings, excuse me. Like this is still, people are still, I think not, it's kind of like how the Vikings were last week with Green Bay. Like I think they needed one more win before they became a public darling. I think the Commanders are right there too. I think if they, like you said, if they win this week, then I think next week you're going to see a pretty big discrepancy in the betting numbers. But for right now, this is still a pretty even split. So I like the pick.
All right, cool. I like yours a little bit more. I can admit that. As we've said. All right, guys, real quick. If you're not using Outlier for your NFL sports bets and sports picks, you're absolutely missing out. In fact, let's just jump into the Outlier screen, and I can show you what I am talking about here. So this is their player prop screen, and they have all of the player props that are offered as of right now. You can dig into any of them that you like. So say Rashad White in this Thursday Night Football game, right? You could see his last 10, his last 5, his head-to-head against that opponent this year, last year. You can even see where the defense ranks against that stat overall and versus that specific position. You have matchup summary over here on the right. And what I like a lot is the fact that you can see the public money and the public bet percentage here on Outlier as well. So go ahead and check it out, guys. This is just a fraction of what you guys can get over on Outlier. And guess what? You're going to get it for free for 7 days. After that, it's just $19.99 per month for everything that you're seeing here in this video. So go ahead and check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. You can also find it in the description. Huge shout out to Outlier for being the exclusive partner and sponsor of H2H this season. Guys, go check it out. 7 days free. But now we jump into our next round, and I am going first. I say that out loud so I get it correct.
Yep.
That could be the show.
5 weeks, but it took 5 weeks.
I know. Are we back to last season now with everything that's happening? All right. I'll tell you what. I want either Thursday night, a player prop. I think those are the two that I want right now to get me back on track here.
Yeah, Thursday night. I'm also a pretty big fan of Thursday night.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh no, you son of a! You keep moving. You keep moving.
Oh no,
this is gonna be brutal.
That's unfortunate.
This is brutal. We have a total.
and
Oh
you're
boy,
up first.
this is brutal.
Congratulations.
This is
Because I'm
absolutely
gonna spend some time trying to find
brutal.
something here while you're
This
searching.
is absolutely brutal. I have one here, but I wrote this down and was like, I just do not want this to happen whatsoever. And you know what? I think I'm going to roll with it. You're going to hate it. I can already tell. I'm looking at two teams that the defenses don't look all that great. The offenses look decent. One's starting to come along. One is one of the better offenses in the league. And I'm kind of fading what I think everyone's thinking. I'm going to lean towards the under in the Cincinnati and the Ravens game. Right now it's at 50.5 or minus 105. Bet 365 is minus 102. I don't have access to that, but minus 105 here. Both these teams, are I guess, high-powered offenses. Cincinnati's gone over this line. I believe it's in 3 of their 4 games and in 3 straight. And Baltimore's actually gone under in 3 of the 4, but they've played some decent defenses: Kansas City, Dallas, Buffalo. I don't think that they're going to have trouble scoring against Cincinnati, but this is a pretty high number. I think it's an overreaction to the names that are involved here. We saw Baltimore, look really, really good against Buffalo. I think that they come back a little bit. And Cincinnati, I'm not ready to crown them with 2 straight weeks of 30 points, even though Joe Burrow, statistically and historically gets better and better. I could see this being a 27-21 game, and we're still, a field goal under this line. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's just sort of, I used the terminology earlier, a sort of sell high type of spot. I think this is a very, very high total for this game. I'll tell you the truth. I could see it going over, but I didn't have many options for totals this week.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that would worry me here is that both of these defense. Now, Baltimore's defense looked a lot better Sunday night versus the Bills, but like I talked about earlier, Cincinnati, even though they beat the Panthers, I don't know about you, but I wasn't told it was a 10-point win. But as far as 10-point wins go, I was still kind of ooh, they gave up 24 points to Andy Dalton and the Panthers. I didn't really like that. And the Panthers had multiple opportunities to score even more, but again, it's kind of a little bit of it's the Panthers. So,
Yep.
I mean, my only concern would be I think Baltimore is certainly going to score a lot of points here. I think they should. But in your defense, this is an AFC North showdown, so that's always kind of risky. You never really know what you're getting.
True.
With these division battles can be really tight. I'm trying to look out here what the last year
they went 51-54, so not the best.
All right, yeah, I would probably again stay away from this one if I were betting this myself. I just think that these two deep. I want to see what the public is on here with the under.
Let's see. I think I can find it too. All right, so no one's on the under. 13%.
No. Everybody's on the over, so that might be in your favor. However, the over hit in 5 of the Bengals' last 6 games versus bottom 10 scoring defense.
Hey, it's a yucky play. I get it.
Yeah,
But
it's not, like I said, I don't.
I told you I didn't have many totals. Think about my 2 totals, Tasos. I have the under in this one, and then Miami team total over. What are we doing here? If you don't win this week, I don't know what you're going to do. Huh?
I know. Bengals are tied for 25th in scoring defense. Ravens are 17th. That game versus the Bills helped their numbers a little bit. Yeah, I don't. Listen, you're just kind of banking on this kind of dirty, yucky AFC North battle where it's going to be a lot of turnovers and some ugly plays. But based off how these two teams have played so far this year, the over would be the smarter play, I guess I'd say. But is that the obvious smarter play, and that's even smarter to go under?
Personally,
I would, if anything, if I were to take that, I'd probably tease the over. If anything, I wouldn't take this straight up. This line's really high.
Yeah,
but
all right, let's see what you got, because this is definitely I would say the weirdest category. Now we got 2 of them, which seems to happen a lot on this show.
Yeah, we kind of get the wheel kind of like, hey, we're gonna throw you a curveball. Go ahead and figure this one out, smart guys. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Green Bay Packers team total here at over 26.5. I don't know if there's a conflict of interest because I'm an owner of the Green Bay Packers, if I'm allowed to even do this. I did it last year, but
you were the reason the Packers were good last year.
You know what?
You jumped on their bandwagon beforehand.
Listen, in honor of Pete Rose, R.I.P. Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, I'm going to bet on my own team. Here.
Oh, that's awesome.
R.I.P. Pete Rose. Shame he's not in the Hall of Fame. And honestly, I don't want them to put in the Hall of Fame now. If the MLB does it now, it's just a slap in the face, I think.
That'd be so scummy. I mean, you literally wait for him to die, and then, it's BS.
Yeah, no. I think it's more badass that they don't put him in now at this point.
He's like a super famous guy that's unverified on Twitter.
Exactly. It's kind of a badass thing. I think he leaned into it a little bit later on. Yeah. But all right, I'm going Packers here, team total over 26.5 points. It is minus 106 on FanDuel, so pretty good odds there too. They have cashed it in 3 out of 4 games this year. They're actually averaging 26 points per games this season. The only game they didn't cash this was versus the Colts in week 2. But close though. It's always close, like 29 in week 1, 29 last week, 30 in week 2. But Jordan Love obviously is back. You saw that Packers offense in the second half came alive. They gave the Vikings a really good scare there. And you're going up against a Rams team here that is the second most points allowed in the NFL right now, giving up 28.8 points per game. By the way, guys, all the stats I'm sharing with you guys is coming from Outlier, so shout out to Outlier there. But yeah, this Rams defense also doesn't help them either, is the fact that the Rams have the worst run defense in the NFL, giving up 165.5 yards per game, going up against the second best rushing offense in the NFL. Packers are running for almost 175 yards per game. So, and then even passing yards. I mean, Packers top 10, Rams bottom 10. It's really just a good matchup across the board here. And the Rams pass rush has been abysmal without Aaron Donald, and Packers offensive line, again, top 10 in a lot of metrics. So I think it's a really good matchup. Again, they cashed at 75% hit rate this year. I just really don't. And the Bears scored 24 on them. The Bears offense had been awful. The only thing I can honestly think of here is just, again, it's that old thing of like, is the public going to be so high on this that it's too easy? You know what I mean? That's always a risk with these picks. It's like, is it too easy? Because on paper, it seems like a home run hit and it's almost even odds too, which is weird to me. That concerns me a little bit, but from a number standpoint, I really just can't argue this at all. The last time these two teams played, and again, you can't really go off of that too much, was last year in November. The Packers scored 20 in that game, but again, that's totally different Rams team that had Aaron Donald and, so really different vibes. So I like the Packers are over 26.5 points. I think the matchup is really solid.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I can say this now. Actually, I don't know if I guess I could say it now. Packers were a potential look for a spread play for me as well. Now we have Fade Me coming up, and I hope that doesn't come up because you have this one. But yeah, so I really have nothing bad to say about it. I think it's not to say a get right spot for them, but a nice little bounce back spot for them. And this Rams team, I liked them last week, and it's almost like I was too early on the Packers one last week. I thought that they could compete with Minnesota. Okay, it was too early to bet against Minnesota. But then the Rams, it's like I really liked them against the Bears, and they just aren't the same. I mean, Kyron Williams is good. Matthew Stafford's good, and then it's like they need some of these guys to come back from injury. So I don't mind your play there. I think the Packers get rolling. I think they get a few extra possessions here in this spot as well. So it's definitely not something that I'm minding.
Yeah, like I said, and I think the Rams defense, it just is obviously this is a kind of a rebuild year for that defense, losing Aaron Donald. Obviously, a couple years ago, they kind of gutted it, right? They got rid of Jalen Ramsey and everybody. Yep. So now you're seeing like the effects of that, and I just think this Rams defense needs a lot of work. So, they gave, again, 24 points to Caleb Williams and the Bears offense that had been pretty dormant the first 3 weeks. So, I like Green Bay there. Again, they've done it 3 out of 4 times, so there's no reason why they shouldn't do it again here.
Yep. All right, we're jumping into Fade Me now, right?
Yep.
Now, the double down rule for Fade Me, I think we did last year, is that you can double down on your own Fade Me, but it doesn't make the other person have to.
No.
Okay. We have not used the double down. That tells me that you, who's 0-4, doesn't feel like you need it this week, which worries me a little bit. But
I thought about it, but I am like, honestly, I think this is, and I'm not trying to hype myself up here, but through 3 picks, I think this is the most confident I've been so far this year. Through 3 picks, I don't think any of my picks I'm like, ooh, like. The last few weeks, I've had at least 1 or 2 where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that one, Jim. But this one, this week, I feel pretty good.
Well, I don't love any of mine, I would say. So it's good that you feel like that. At least one of us does. But this wheel we're going to spin, it's similar to the one you saw at the beginning of the show. Whoever this lands on, this is the Fade Me round. That person can take any play they want, and the other person has to fade them and do the opposite. This is by far and away the biggest leg up if you get this correctly for the show. This also ensures that Tasos and I don't walk in here on week 5, week 6, whenever it is, and have both 0-4 weeks and then no one wins. So this is the way to determine that there's a guaranteed winner, and it doesn't always work. I know we've gotten some comments saying like, well, the Fade Me just gives the advantage of someone picking, and it's like, no, you still have to make a pick. Like if Tasos gets this and gets his pick wrong, I get the win. So it's not.
I almost blew it last week. Daniel Jones,
the last play of the game. Yeah, or last play of the New York Giants skill. So it works both ways. But let's go ahead and spin this. Tasos, I really do want this. I really
want
do.
This bad. I have a pick. I really want this. I hope the gambling gods are going to give it to you.
Sit down. They're going to give it to you. Sit down.
Oh, all right. No, I had a pick I really liked too.
What's funny is that so I love this play, but it's not like a lovable play, if that makes sense. It is a Thursday night football play. I don't think you have it. Okay, So
Nope,
we're going
not
to be
what I was
watching
going
some
with.
Thursday night football here, but let's see if I can make sure I get the right odds. I am looking at, and like I said, it's a great play, but not a lovable play. Chase McLaughlin, you know who that is, right? The
Yep.
kicker of the Tampa Bay Bucks, over 6.5 kicking points. Minus
Ah,
130 on DraftKings. You're going to get, I believe it might be plus money if I'm not mistaken. I can share that up afterwards. So under 6.5 for plus money. But this is an Atlanta team that's allowed more kicking points to any team out there. It's a really, really red zone efficient defense, which is, I guess, good in a sense, because I think the Bucks can, one, score the ball, but even if Atlanta kind of shores up and locks them up in the red zone, we're looking at some field goals here, and I really do expect them to be able to get into the red zone plenty. So yeah, Chase McLaughlin here, over 6.5 kicking points. I get minus 130. Does look like you get even odds on DraftKings, so I'm giving you a plus number next to that on your side, but it's not a sexy pick, but it's like low-key one of my favorite plays on the board this week.
I'm not gonna even lie to you. Like, that's a brilliant pick. I'm probably gonna
Let's
bet it on
go.
my own. I'm probably
Let's
gonna
go.
bet it on my own. Like, this game is gonna be a field goal game. Like, this is what happened. Like, this is, the Bucks obviously, they've impressed me, honestly. That Eagles win was pretty good. The Falcons are trending in the right direction. They obviously had that big win against the Saints last week. But this just I mean, it's a 1.5 point spread. Like, and it's the
Yep.
total is at 43.5. The sports books are telling you this is going to be a tight game, probably a low scoring one. I mean, I guess the only positive is, like, if you do win, it's minus 130, so it's not as bad. And if I win somehow, like I said,
It's
almost
a
even
plus
odds.
number,
So
yeah. I will say the reason I went with kicking points too is because regardless if this is a field goal game, like I didn't want to leave the extra points off the board. You know what I mean? I thought
yeah,
about over 1.5 field goals, and it's like, well, what if the Bucks just have an offensive game in which they go off? When they've looked good this year, week 1, week 2, and week 3, he's had 13 kicking points, 8 kicking points, and 9 kicking points. So I do like this spot. Like I said, it's not a sexy one, but somehow, some way, I do think that you can look at like a kicker prop, and they kind of do get electric, because each one of those kicks
oh,
matters a lot.
of course. I mean, honestly, it's not a bad pick. At first, when you said kicker prop, I was like, kicker prop, really? And I was like, oh shit, like this is like this is a great pick. Realistically, tell me, you can't tell me as a watcher at home that you're not looking to go, okay, 2 field goals and an extra point is not gettable in this game. 2
Exactly.
field goals and an extra point. Like, if the Buccaneers score 13, the Buccaneers are going to score at least 13 points. I mean, it's this is a great pick. Hats off to you. I can't. There's nothing more I can really say about. Like, that's a great pick. I can't.
Do you know
be
what's
mad
crazy?
about it.
This I'm talking Chase McLaughlin here, and it just made me feel that much better about my entire board now. I just said it was
Yeah.
my least favorite. I got my favorite play on the board, which he's gonna have like 0 kicking points now. Or he's gonna like roll his ankle on his first one because I like it.
Well, God forbid. God,
There it is.
God forbid.
There it is. But yeah, you get that at plus 100 on DraftKings. So actually, I think that's a decent spot for you.
Honestly,
but I do still, I'll take mine.
In that spot, I can't be that upset because, like I said, if you do win it, it's a great pick. But if you do win it, at least it's minus 130. So it's not like you're getting this, even odds or minus 110. And again, if he does somehow not get which I'd be shocked, God forbid.
Oh my God.
Plus money is not bad at all. So
yeah, and to be honest, this was like I would rather it be a player prop or Thursday night play, in the wheel. So it's not like this is my favorite fade me play. I didn't want to give you the other side of it.
yeah.
But I had to pull the trigger when I had it. But yeah, guys, those are our plays for the week here. We did not use the double down. We still have that in the chamber. They don't roll over. You only get one per week anyways, per person. But yeah, another little thing that we're throwing into the show. And then if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 33. I don't know how far we are into this, but go ahead and comment 33. And also let us know if there's any other sort of categories that you'd like to see. We always want to mix it up and whatnot. We threw plus money play in the last couple weeks. Should we do like, same game parlay, that type of thing, underdog, road underdog. It can be that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments some other categories. We want to keep this thing spicy and keep it rolling. But Tasos, anything else you got for the people back at home?
The vibes are riding really high until you just killed it there with that last fading pick. I was like, all right, I feel really good. I like all my picks, and then you just hit me with that whammy, and all right. I still feel pretty good. This is, like I said, the one thing I can say, and I know a lot of people in the comments are like, oh, this guy stinks. I'll be honest, I have stunk the first month of the season, but we are trending in the right direction. So, Ev, I'm going to give you a little warning here. Enjoy it while it lasts, because I'm coming. I'm coming. The wheels are starting to turn here. Again, on the Oracle, I went 7-3-1. Had some really nice hits there. And you know what? Some of the picks I didn't take, I hate to be that guy, but even some of the picks I didn't take worked. Like, I like the Broncos plus 7.5. I didn't give it out, but like, I'm seeing the board clearly.
Clear and clear.
And
okay.
And that's what gives me some hope with this 0-4 deficit. And and my futures bet looks pretty good too. You have the Bengals in the Super Bowl, so that's it doesn't look great right now.
That's tough. That is tough. But all right, guys, that wraps up for week 5 for H2H. I am up for nothing in terms of the record, but this is a long season. I mean, it is crazy to be a quarter of the way technically through the year, but a lot can happen. Just as quickly as I went 4-0, Tasos could go 4-0 now, and all of a sudden we're knotted up halfway through. So.
Including this show, we have 18 shows left, including this one. So after
we
this
do.
One,
it's not just regular season. We do playoffs every round and stuff. So 100%. But guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 33 like we said. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.